Hello everyone, this channel is called Casual Fandom View, and today I will be recommending a show called Yuukoku no Moriarty. The English title is Moriarty the Patriot, and I recently discovered the show, binge watched a lot of episodes, and subsequently ended up reading the manga. But more importantly, I wanted to recommend this show to you all because it has an engaging plot, and I just really felt like I had a lot of fun watching the show. It's not usually the type of show that I commonly watch. I don't think I've watched that many anime mystery shows, at least that I can recall, where there isn't like another type of genre that has to do with it. Like, I've watched Erased, but that's also like fantasy in terms of the time traveling plot of it. But that is also a mystery, so I feel like that would probably be the last mystery type of show that I've watched. But this show is a mystery show that heavily involves solving crimes and also shows how the crimes get committed as well. The show delves into an alternate perspective of characters who have different versions of how to fix an unfair world where the high class continues to excel due to their privileges and inherited riches or their exploitation of people's labor, while the lower classes struggle to survive and live at the beck and call of the top 1%. Or in this case, they just call it the upper class or the high class in this show. But basically, in terms of our day, it'd be the top 1%. Very similar to how things are in our modern reality, so I think this show is greatly relevant even if it takes place in the late 1800s. When I looked it up, the original Sherlock books take place in like 1881, I believe. So like late 1800s to like maybe like 1901 to 4. So like I don't know where this exactly takes place, but I'm assuming it's within the same time period as the Sherlock book series due to their time period clothing. I'm assuming it takes place in the same time period as that. The first 3 episodes perfectly set up the show as well as capture your attention. So by 3 episodes, I think you should know if the show is right for you or not. Episode 2 and 3 for me are especially great to watch, and I thought it had a lot of fun twists and turns in it that got me excited about the show. The characters, or the 2 main protagonists, because this is a duo protagonist show, are very likable, the both of them. One who is a morally gray character, and the other being Sherlock, who, as you expect, is the one solving crimes and seeking the truth. Animation is very high quality, is another great factor of this show, and many characters look very pretty. So if you love shows with pretty looking characters, the show has definitely got that. Also, if you are a shipper like myself, I believe like if you watch this show, you could ship a lot of different ships. I know I have a specific ship that I love from this show, but from basically binging a lot of episodes, I realized like this show is probably a great watch for shippers and people enjoying shipping characters. Now, I don't know how well this show follows the original plot to the actual Sherlock novels and short stories written by Arthur Conan Doyle. Since I have never read the books, I won't read anything unless an educational institution forces me to, and since I've literally just graduated university, yeah, no educational institution is going to be forcing me to read anything right now. But assuming it's an adaptation that strays from the original and thus is just like a vague interpretation of Sherlock rather than following the actual original plots, I'm assuming that most people who do watch iterations of Sherlock in like modern day shows, that most people expect it's not gonna follow the original books. At least that's what I expect. If you have loved any live action iteration of Sherlock like Elementary or BBC's Sherlock, you'll be sure to love this because I've watched both of those shows and love this one. And if you're in the mood for some murder solving plots, give it a try and see if the show is for you. The first opening is so catchy and beautiful. I love it. The song has awesome violins in it that just sound really great, and overall the song is very catchy. It's called Dying Wish. The second opening is slower at first, but still quite nice and takes a while to grow on you. The animation really flexes in the second opening because it feels a bit more experimental, like they're trying different shots in the second opening. At one point it has like a painterly texture in portions of it where you see the city. It looks like kind of like an oil painting, so I thought that was cool. The first ending actually is super upbeat, and it's surprising to me how hard it goes looking back on it when I re-listen to it. Usually endings are slower, like the meme image of like how openings always go hard and the endings are usually like sad and contemplative. This ending is not one of the slow endings. It is not really my fave type of ending, like it's super upbeat, but the animation looks very pretty. So I feel like it's a good watch at least once to just see the pretty animation of what they do for the ending, because it's super cute, it looks pretty, and yeah, like I don't really vibe with that type of song, but actually like it looks really pretty to watch. And the same goes for the second ending. It sounds like a music you would hear playing at a club or a party. It's very upbeat, but like dubstep like almost, and I'm not really like, I don't really listen to dubstep music or like that type of party dubstep music that often, so it's not really my type of music, but if you like that type of dubstep music, you might like that ending. I'm going to be going into slight spoiler territory, so if you want to go in blind to this show, I would suggest you leave the video here. Now technically one could say the main protagonist is Moriarty due to the show's name, but because there is a clear switch up in perspective from a certain episode where the primary focus is Sherlock's perspective, I would say the show is a duo protagonist show that is willing to change perspectives easily. So if you like shows that don't just always stick with one character but occasionally switch perspectives, this show is a great fit for you. Moriarty, I would classify as an anti-hero, like at least to me, he's an anti-hero. From my interpretation, an anti-hero similar to like Deadpool from a Marvel comics or whatever, like that's how I always, my frame of reference, where it's like his morals, for William Moriarty, his morals are skewered but his heart's in the right place. Like that's how I define an anti-hero. It's like his morals are not, like he doesn't have ethics, or like his morals are a little bit skewered and like twisted in a certain way, but his heart's in the right place, and you could find yourself agreeing with his method of doing things due to the fact that a lot of people are doing a lot of terrible things, and you could believe that William Moriarty's way of dealing with it is justifiable. I love villainous characters where you can see where they are coming from and their goal or purpose is one you partly agree with. And personally, like at certain, like at least in terms of like what his goal is or like his critique, I very much agree with William Moriarty's critique of the system that occupies like London and like Britain's class system that he's trying to like critique, because I'm critical of the current like economic disparity as well in terms of like modern day times. I don't really believe millionaires or billionaires should exist. Like I'm critical of that. Like no one should have that much money. It doesn't logically make sense when people are, you know, like homeless, or there's people who are unable to find jobs or work, or have like inconsistent work opportunities, or they're forced to take two jobs because having one job isn't enough pay. Like that is ridiculous and very terrible in terms of like our current economic reality. So like I'm agreeing in terms of Moriarty's critique. He's critiquing the class system in terms of that day and time, so like the low class people on the streets that are struggling to make ends meet, or like orphans that don't have anybody taking care of them due to the fact that they were like abandoned. Like he has all these critiques of the system itself and how all these people are basically drowning in riches and living off of that and having the time of their lives, while other people are living paycheck to paycheck, or like trying to find a job, or like searching for a place to live. You know what I mean? Like people are struggling out there, and then these people are just having steaks, having fun, disrespecting the people they employ, exploiting their labor, and disrespecting the people they employ because they are upper and higher class and they expect to be taken care of to such a high degree. And you really see that in the show, the disrespect of the working class and the people that are basically putting food on your table. And basically the world would not be going around without these people that are doing the work that they're doing. You know what I mean? Like all the service workers, people who are doing the minimum wage work or like the low paying work, are the ones that are making the world go round, and yet they are paid the least. And that is clearly seen also in this old late 1800s time period where like maids are not being treated correctly, or like servants aren't being treated correctly, service people aren't being treated correctly. It shows that, I believe, in at least the first 3 episodes, where it's like a clear disparity between the classes and a lack of equality and equity, I believe the term is, or like not complete equality is what we need, but we need like proportionally more services to the people that need it. Help for people who need it most. Like it needs to be proportional for what is needed for each person. William Moriarty's critique I agree with, and it's appropriate for our time period as well as the time period he's occupying. So that's why I felt like the show was very relevant, I guess you could say, and also like a lot of very interesting to watch William's twisted way of trying to solve things, like because he wants things to be better for the class that he wants to be able to survive. Like he wants to help the low class because the high class is just so terrible and they are like taking advantage of the people, and he wants them basically gone. So if you're like very much in the classic online perspective of like the top 1% needs to go, yeah, you're gonna enjoy this show and you're gonna love William Moriarty because that's basically his perspective. He's like the top 1% gotta go, like the classic eat the rich. Yeah, so if you really love those types of sayings and you're like do crime, eat the rich, or like the classic, you know, be gay, do crime, you're gonna love this. And I feel like that is the definition of William Moriarty. As you could tell, as I mentioned before, like if you're a shipper, you could end up shipping a lot of characters, and personally I feel like Moriarty, I'm just gonna say it outright, like Moriarty and Sherlock are very shippable in this, and from how the manga goes, it very much feels like the author might also ship them. The author pushes the limits of how you could have a romance without outright stating it, sort of. I don't know if it's similar to like Yuri on Ice where it's like it has to be censored so they can't outright state it, so I have to like try to make it sound like it's only platonic, but the framing of them is very romantic. So yeah, that's one of the many ships of the show. I know there's like multi-shippers out there, so like if you're a multi-shipper, you will have a lot of fun with this show because I feel like there are many ships you can have watching it. If you've ever watched like BBC's Sherlock, a lot of people ship like Watson and Sherlock too, like John Watson and Sherlock, and you could probably ship John Watson and Sherlock in this as well if you wanted to. So like there's multiple ships you could have from this, and I feel like it's a fun to watch if you're a shipper and if you also like the whole critique of the top 1%, because that is what Moriarty is doing in this, and it is greatly deserved. Overall, this show was a pleasant surprise for me that I've got so hooked on it I couldn't wait for more episodes and binge read the manga online. As a result, I will say if the anime is continued to be adapted from the manga, it's going to get even more exciting, and I'm excited to see it all animated, and I hope you all enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think of the show if you have already watched it. Let me know how you thought of a show if you ended up giving it a try, because I always like hearing your thoughts. I hope you're all doing well, and I guess this is the end of my video. Bye!